The South African Defence Force is pleading for help. This after approximately 1,300 military personnel lost everything in a wildfire that engulfed the Lehutla Military Training Centre near Kuruman in the Northern Cape. Now, aid organisation Gift of the Givers heard their cries and is collecting donations for the victims. And for more on this, we're joined by Gift of the Givers founder, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman. Good afternoon to you and thank you so much for joining us. Just how far are you in collecting donations for the destitute members of the SANDF?
Good afternoon, Cindy. We're not collecting donations. We're releasing donations from our items from our warehouse in Johannesburg, and we're purchasing some of the things that we don't have. They've requested clothing because apparently all the clothing of all the military personnel has been burnt out. They've requested some energy drinks and energy foods and blankets and hygiene packs and, of course, sanitary towels for the ladies. There's a combination of men and ladies in the training center. It was a training exercise. That's with 1,300 people there. So we always do carry stocks in our warehouse, and we had quite a substantial amount of stocks in our Johannesburg warehouse. But there are certain items that we don't have, like toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap. We've used a lot of the stuff in the floods in the Western Cape in the last 2 weeks, so we've been depleted. But by the next hour or so, all the items that are requested will be on the truck and moving towards Kuruman.
Yes, and I mean, what's government's role in this regard, Dr. Sooliman, especially when it comes to how their members have been impacted? Is there no contingency, or are the members only reliant solely on Gift of the Givers?
Well, that's been happening for quite some time now. Whether it's SAPS, whether it's Defence Force, whether it's disaster management, whether it's crisis in any way, it's all municipalities and government calling us. I think the budget cuts has been a huge challenge in terms of the economy and in terms of the resources of government. If you hear different departments that you speak to, everybody's talking about austerity measures that's becoming very, very strong. And, they don't have budgets. You're cutting registrar posts in hospitals. You're cutting budgets to health facilities. You're cutting budgets to the police, to the NPA, to the Hawks, to the SIU, and every other department in the country. They have a serious budget crisis right now. They're even looking at shutting down embassies all over the world because of the crisis and the money we've lost, whether to stealing or to comrades or to state capture or just the economic climate and the loss of investment. So all those factors combined has made it very critical for people working for government. But we look at it another way. Yes, government should be doing something, but at the end of the day, these are ordinary civilians. If they take the uniforms off, they're just very ordinary people, and we can't leave them stranded because the departments haven't come to the aid.
And Dr. Sooliman, also, it speaks about the working environment. I mean, safety measures at the military base or military training center in Kuruman, where this wildfire started and affected almost 1,300 SANDF members. Clearly, there is either lack of early detection or some form of a response team to ensure that, their members are protected.
Well, it's difficult to say. Fires start very suddenly, so I'm not sure how the fire started, what the cause was, and how it happened. But apparently it started on the edge of a mine. I don't know which mine, and what the issue was there. And unfortunately, in the Northern Cape, it's a very poorly resourced province. And there's two major challenges. One is there's not enough trained personnel and equipment and resources. So if the fire starts there, you're not going to have like hundreds of firefighters coming from nearby. The towns are too scattered, they're too small, it's too rural, there's not enough staff. The second major, unlike what would happen in Joburg or Durban or Cape Town or some of the bigger cities, the second problem is whenever there's a problem in the Northern Cape, you don't get that much of support because companies feel they want to assist people around their own companies. If they are in the bigger centers, you would find them more willing to support causes or disasters in areas where they are based rather than in areas where they are not based. And we've found repeatedly what crisis in the Northern Cape, very few corporate companies come to the party. So on the one side, yes, we have the problem of the fire, and I'm not sure, so I can't say that the Defence Force is to blame or not to blame. I don't know, how it started and what resources they had. And secondly, from a state point of view, there's never enough personnel from a state point of view. And thirdly, of course, the corporates don't come to the aid in a hurry in the Northern Cape.
And just before we let you go, for those that are in a position to make a contribution or they want to support your causes, how do we go about it?
Well, for this cause specifically, we're not asking for any funds, because we can take care of it ourselves. But generally, if you want to support funds, what we like to make a call for is to have money up front as for reserves for disaster intervention. Because we're responding to so many disasters, and we don't wait for corporate South Africa to come to the party. And even when they do come, it's maybe 3, 5, 7, 10 days later. And disaster, by definition, needs instant response. So if South Africans feel generous and, just want to contribute towards disaster reserves, which we have in stock, funds available to release immediately, that would be very helpful. And to get that, they can just go to our social media pages, our website, the bank details are there. Where we want to build a reserve for disasters, a big amount, like the fires in Gqeberha last year. Had we not intervened, that city would have been in serious trouble. We didn't wait for any corporates. We got involved to save the city. In the long run, the contributions that you make may one day help your own society and your own community.
And that's correct. Gift of the Givers founder, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, talking to us about the work they're doing in Kuruman, where a military training center in the Northern Cape was engulfed in fire, affecting 1,300 members, personnel who have lost literally everything. And Gift of the Givers saying that they are building reserves, and if you are able to contribute, you're welcome to go to their social media pages. That is Gift of the Givers.